been talking a lot about the cybersecurity precautions that need to be taken with so many people working remotely. Usually, we talk about that topic from the point of view of those working remotely, how to set up your home router, how to protect yourself when working from home. This time, we're going to do something different and talk about setting up workers for working remotely and setting up remote access and some key tips that you should keep in mind. I'm here with John Markley and Ganesh Kasina, and we're going to talk about some of those tips. First of all, John, what advice would you give people for setting up remote access?
I think the most, probably one of the highest, I shouldn't say the most because there's lots of good ones, but one of the highest priorities you have to do is make sure that you know who somebody is and that they're an authorized user. And probably the strongest solution we have for that is some type of multi-factor authentication. There's something there's something you have. There's a lot of varied options that can do that, but some type of multi-factor, I think, is a very key element for anyone who's wanting to set up remote access.
And Ganesh, what sorts of principles should be followed with setting up remote access?
John talked about the most important aspect of working from remotely. I think the next in line would be access of least privilege. In the sense, I think whoever the subject should be given enough permissions to do their job and not anything more. I think that kind of reduces the attack surfaces, and that should be given lots of consideration with respect to, along with working from home conditions.
And John, what about hardware use for working remotely? Tell me what advice you have about that.
Yeah, it's a challenging subject because when people work from home, what do they have? What can they take with them? Personally, I think we should recommend, or we do recommend that that if you can, if it's something that's possible, provide the equipment. Have the company provide what you a lot of times call COU, company-owned units, is have that provided to the remote worker, so that again you have that control, the least privilege, the ability to do multi-factor is all built in, and you can actually control what they're using to access your network.
And Ganesh, any final tip that people should consider when setting up remote access?
I think another important aspect would be recycling of the resources in that sense. For example, as John pointed out, when we are giving the ability for the remote access, it also given the access along with the VPN. For example, there could be some sort of rule can be triggered in, like the access should be granted for a certain number of hours. If it's longer than that time, take down the access. And also, maybe, as we always talk about the internet weather, it's always good to tighten or harden the unnecessary services supports. So that kind of reduces the attack surfaces. I think this should be given importance along with the other tips shared by John.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that great advice. Thank you all for watching, and as always, stay safe.